Hey guys, it's Justine here from I Should Read That, and today I am bringing you the book buying tag. So I spotted this tag video on Aoife from Pretty Purple Polka Dots channel. She is fabulous. I'll link her down below if you want to check her out. And I thought that this had a lot of really fun questions. I couldn't find the original tag creator's video. I did some searching and couldn't find anything. So if you guys know who originally created the tag, link me and I'll update the description down below so that they can receive proper credit. So if you have been around here for a while, you probably know that I have a little bit of a book buying problem. My book hauls are always outrageous at the end of the month, and I really enjoy buying books. It's something that brings me joy. I don't really tend to spend a lot of money on other things outside of books, fabric, and yarn. That's apparently my personality. So yeah, I thought this would be a really fun tag to dig into and talk about some of the book buying habits that I have. So the very first question is, where do you buy your books from? I tend to prefer to shop in physical bookstores because that's just way more fun. There's nothing better than going and browsing for a book. But the pandemic, of course, obviously shut all of the shops down. So I started to buy books online a little bit more, and I have been really enjoying that. So in terms of physical shops, I live in the UK, so I am often shopping at Waterstones. I also love Blackwell's. I live just outside of Oxford, so I have very excellent and dangerous access to Blackwell's, which is an amazing bookstore. And I also really enjoy sort of hitting up the charity shops. I have a local Oxfam bookshop, which is dedicated to used books. That's who gets a lot of my unhauled books as well. So I see some old friends from time to time when I go there. In terms of shopping online, I really like Blackwell's because they are fabulous and they have a really good sort of online ordering system. And I have been trying to hit up some more independent shops. So I really love Portal Bookshop, which is an LGBTQ bookshop based in York. I would love to go visit their shop one day, but I've only ever bought books from them online. And there's another one, let me get the name. The Proud Geek store. So I discovered them via TikTok. I think they started either during the pandemic or just before. I'm not 100% sure when, but they also are an LGBTQ friendly shop, and they do not just books, but like CDs, DVDs, all of that. And if you are a member of the LGBTQ community who is not out, they use very discreet packaging, just as a heads up. I try to avoid shopping on Amazon for books because there's so many other better places to buy books. It is tempting sometimes. I do end up buying from them, but for the most part, I keep my wish list on Amazon because their wish list setting is the best, and then I tend to buy books elsewhere. Question number 2, do you ever pre-order books? And if so, do you do this in-store or online? I went through a big phase of pre-ordering so much stuff, and I got burned so many times by books that I got caught up in the hype. I pre-ordered and I just didn't like them. There are a few notable examples that I won't go into, but yeah, so I actually stopped pre-ordering for a long time, but I'm starting to get back into it now. I am doing a lot less pre-ordering, but I'm kind of picking out things that I know I'm gonna love. It's either authors who I know and trust. So for example, I will always be pre-ordering Tasha Suri's books. She's someone who I always hit that little button for. Or just books that I get a really good feeling about. So I have a few things that I have pre-ordered right now. I think I've got like maybe 4 or so, but I don't tend to do it very often, and I always do it online. On average, how many books do you buy a month? I don't even know, 10 to 20 probably? I think last month I hauled 32 books, but a good portion of those were actually ARCs and review copies. I think I ended up buying like 13 or so, which is a lot. I should stop. Do you use your local library? Yes, I do. I actually have 2 library books next to me right now that I went and picked up earlier today. I don't use it as much as I could or as much as I should just because I prefer to buy my own books, but I do like to use the library for things like graphic novels, comics, anything that will be like really short and sweet. I don't necessarily want to spend the money on owning a copy, or some things that I may be a little bit less sure of, so I try to get like thrillers and things from the library because I'm a little bit less well versed in those genres. The next question kind of carries on from that. So if you do use your local library, how many books can you or do you borrow at a time? It really depends. I tend to put in like an interlibrary loan because I live in a small town with a very small library, but it is part of the larger like Oxfordshire library system. So I tend to just wait for loans to come in and then pick them up, and I'll do a little bit of browsing. So usually like 2 to 4 books at a time. It's really not that many. What is your opinion on library books? I don't know what opinion you would have on library books other than they are awesome. Even if you don't use a library, like, the fact that libraries exist for a lot of people is just really, really cool. It's really awesome. So I wish more people had access to libraries, because as I'm learning, being on the bookish internet and getting out of my little US-UK box, that's not necessarily something that everyone has. How do you feel about charity shops and secondhand books? Love them! As I said, I am not someone who needs to have my books in like pristine condition. I break spines, I chuck things in bags, like all my books are fucked up, so I'm not someone who particularly cares about books being neat and tidy. I love a secondhand book. They are really good, again, sort of like for the libraries, for books that I am maybe a little bit less sure of, like thrillers, like crime novels. The next question is, do you keep your read and TBR piles together / on the same shelf or not? I mix it up, so I started out in this lovely room, as you saw from my last bookshelf tour, which was 2019. I'm planning a new one just as soon as I stop being lazy. I had them separated, so TBR and then read books were completely separate. Then I mixed them all together for a long time, and actually as of a couple weeks ago I actually separated them out again, which is why got my jumper in here, sorry, which is why I have these empty shelves, because my read books end just up here. So hopefully, in theory, I can fill in these shelves below, and then my TBR starts over here and goes into the next room. So it really depends on what year you're asking me this question, but at the moment I do separate them. Do you plan to read all the books that you own? Yes. Is that realistic? Probably not. I think I've got 7 or 8 years worth of reading material just in general, and when it comes to physical books, I probably have about 6 years worth of reading material, so yeah. So the next question, what do you do with books that you own that you feel you will never read / felt you did not enjoy? Unhaul. I'm very happy unhauling books. I prefer to unhaul books that I have already read, but sometimes I'm just gonna lose interest in something. Like, for example, I went through like a wild fae, like, binge a couple of months ago because I joined TikTok, everyone was reading ACOTAR, I read ACOTAR, I tore through it, absolutely destroyed like 1,500 pages worth of those books in like a week, and was like all fae all the time. And then a couple weeks later, I remember that I don't actually really like fae books all that much, but by that point I had already bought more fae books. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, the point of that is I tend to go through wild moods, so if I decide I'm just not interested in something anymore, it will get unhauled, but it'll usually take me a couple of years to unhaul that, because again, I much prefer to unhaul books that I've read, because at least I know that I didn't love them. Next question, have you ever donated books? Yes, I have a pile right here just off screen of books that are going to be donated whenever I get off my lazy butt and go to the charity shop, that Oxfam shop that's in town. I love donating books. They're going to a good cause. I would love to figure out a better place to donate them rather than just overwhelming my small town used bookstore with lots and lots and lots of YA and fantasy. If anyone has any suggestions for places to donate old books to in the UK that's not their local shop, let me know, especially if it's good for lazy people, because I'm a lazy person. Have you ever been I can practically hear my husband laughing at me from the other room. Have you ever been on a book buying ban? Yes. This isn't part of the question, but has it ever been successful? No, it has not. I'm one of those people. I do not like to be told what to do, even if it's like myself telling me what to do. So if I ever say I'm on a book buying ban, just all of a sudden I black out and I wake up and I'm just surrounded by books. They don't work. They don't work for me. Right now I'm on an online shopping book buying ban because that was getting really troublesome for a while. Internet access is a dangerous thing for me apparently now. But yeah, book buying bans just don't work. I have no self-control, and also I'm a brat, so I'm gonna break it immediately. And the very last question is, do you feel that you buy too many books? I am of two minds about this particular one because, as I mentioned, I have like 6 years worth of physical books on my shelf that need to be read. That's a lot. That's probably too many. But I like buying books. I can afford to buy books. It is a luxury that I am fortunate enough to be able to indulge in. I have the space, I have the money, and maybe I have the time. That's to be decided. But yeah, I try not to feel guilt about buying too many books. And I know there's a lot of conversations. This could go on forever, but I'm gonna try to keep it short. There's a lot of conversations about overconsumption and consumerism on BookTube, and I am generally behind that, but at the same time, I don't think it's anyone's fucking business how many books anyone else buys or reads or whatever. I think that if it is something you can afford to do and it makes you happy, you should absolutely buy as many books as you want. But if you're doing it just because you see other people, frankly like me maybe, doing it and having these huge book hauls, then maybe that's something to consider. But I personally I'm very, very happy with the number of books that I buy. I'm happy with the number of books that I have. I do get TBR anxiety a lot. That just happens, but it's not powerful enough for me to stop. So that is it for this tag video. All of the questions are down below if you would like to do this video as well. Consider yourself tagged if you are interested, but I am going to be tagging Amber from Books of Amber, Carrie from Carrie Louise Reads, and Lana from Lore and Lullabies. I want to see your answers because I am super nosy. I post bookish content to this channel fairly frequently, so go ahead and hit subscribe, check back soon, and I will see you next time.